When Meghan and Harry announced in January this year that they were to step down from their senior royal roles, they said they wanted to become financially independent. Soon after, they set up a new non-profit organization named Archewell, which is focused on themes of compassion and community. As part of it, they launched a website by the name of Archewell.com was basically to keep people posted on the progress of their vision and upcoming projects. However, it seems that this website might have been doing far more than just sharing details. Cybersecurity researchers and data privacy advocates found that the website was using some quite alarming practices around the collection and tracking of user data. Let me give an explanation about what they found. Primarily, it was found that the website is actually embedding tracking codes from a myriad of other third-party companies, such as Segment, StackCounter, and Google Analytics. This is common sense that websites get an insight into the traffic and behavior through analytic tools. But the point of concern is that the codes could track and gather personal information even after the visitor has left the site. For instance, Segment is a customer data platform that allows companies to unify customers' data, including personal identifiers like email addresses, names, and many more. The Segment code on the Archewell website was able to track the visitor's inter-site if the visitor has since moved on from the Archewell.com site. According to several experts, this is the level of cross-site tracking that is considered privacy invasion. Another code that is embedded in the web page is StatCounter, which is able to track unique IDs associated with devices in order to monitor online behaviors of individuals over the entire web. In other words, the code could track and monitor everyone who had visited the site, without their permission, even the Archewell website. Google Analytics, which is among the most popularly used web tools, was also found to be collecting personal identifiers and tracking identifiers that are linkable back to individuals. The problem is that the Archewell website did not properly anonymize or encrypt this data as required by privacy laws, and the data could thereby potentially be used to build individual profiles of the site's visitors. Meanwhile, the site was also found using other technologies, such as Facebook Pixel and Twitter tags. On the other hand, social sharing plugins were present across the site, but critics reveal that they also gather personal data and track people outside of the site. Further, the site's code revealed that Archewell had not properly informed its privacy policy or the collection of data practices on the site itself, as Archewell was legally bound to do in most jurisdictions, including Europe. Visitors had no clear way to understand or consent to how their data was being used. Adding to these concerns is the fact that none from the Archewell team or its parent company, represented by Prince Harry and Meghan, has come forward to comment on the findings or criticism around its privacy. This silence on such important things raised further questions about transparency and control, no two ways about it. The implication of these practices could be really serious now, both if proved correct, an ethical perspective from their side, and legally. Let's discuss some of those consequences. Ethically, privacy advocates argue that cross-site tracking and non-consensual data collection violate basic principles of informed consent online. People would expect that sites keep their watchful eye on them during an actual visit to a site, not continued long after they leave the site. Building undisclosed personal profiles can also undermine user autonomy and control over personal information. In law, the European Union has some of the strictest privacy laws in the world under the GDPR regulations. A violation can accrue in cases where there was bad anonymization and encryption of data, transparency lack in privacy policies, and no clear user's consent. Archewell potentially collecting data on European visitors would make them subject to GDPR jurisdiction as well. Other places, like California, have also struck down strong consumer privacy laws in the recent past by not providing clear rules around things like do not track requests and monitoring beyond site visits. The website's audience may fall foul of these statutes by the website's audience. If investigators or regulators can manage to prove the issues relating to privacy in the reports, Archewell might be in a position that needs a heavy fine under the privacy laws. They could also be ordered to change their data practices, destroy any illegally collected information, and face other administrative or even criminal penalties in rare cases. The negative publicity on its own from such violations is bound to do damage, at the very least, to the brand of the nonprofit and their aims in the eyes of the public and its supporters. That could also have an impact on future collaboration or funding opportunities. Of course, it's important to note that at this stage, these are just reports of potential issues. There have been no official investigations or findings of wrongdoing by regulatory authorities. Archwell denies that they were involved in any improper data activity, but their lack of response or transparency is still worrying to many experts.